All right, should have started. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 22nd episode of the PokéSells Official Podcast. My name is Rocco Mitchell. I am your host, and today I'm here with Brenin, another Nashville native, also known as SquirtleSquadCollectables. Um, let's see. I got their sticker right here on my wonderful case.
Love it.
Um,
Love it.
but another big vendor here in the Nashville scene. And yeah, if you could just mind introducing yourself, Brendan.
Yeah, so kind of got back in during the Hidden Fates era. So pre bubble, I guess, or boom from the COVID. So I was in just a little before then. Um, but basically, my friend got me kind of hooked back into Pokemon. Obviously, I found my old collection, graded some of it, and just held on to it. Just it was nostalgia. And then my daughter was a big fan, so she kind of helped, got me back into it with her collecting and all of a sudden it was kind of like, well, there's money in this. And so from there it just escalated. But my buddy that got me kind of back into it all of a sudden now plays Magic, and now it's just me, and it's kind of snowballed into this. But I love it. I used to do tile work as a business, did that for 10 years, and this is much more fun and a lot easier on the body. So
Yeah, yeah, that's super cool. Um, that's awesome that you got back into it. And you said Hidden Fate, so that's like late 20.
it was like 2019, I think, 2000, around that
Yes.
era.
Yeah.
What are you for?
Yeah. I I was gonna say that like for me, like that's when I got in, or like Unified Minds so a little bit earlier. But that's super cool. And something that um let's see, something that I loved about like you. Well, or not just you guys is, you guys, like, obviously have, like, a very strong brand, if you would say, like
Yeah.
um, and I know that, like, that's something that's, like, not really seen here anymore, so, like, signing with they just have their names or whatever, but I
Yeah.
think that, like, something that you guys have really cool is, like, it's very recognizable. And that's great. And you said so you did tile work, you said, in the beginning. So, like, how did you kind of, like,
Transition.
yeah, like, transition and, like, why what you did into Pokemon?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always like collected, I guess, and like sold stuff on eBay here and there. And I would go to shows, not as a vendor, but just, you know, basically built my collection through going to shows and buying stuff. And then obviously I would grade it or whatever. And from there, it was just kind of like just fun for me. Whereas I didn't see the business side of it, I guess, as much. It was more just collecting.
Yeah,
And so I still did my full time, tile work, and would take my daughter to these shows that we had. This is when I lived in Wisconsin, but we take her to shows, maybe in Madison or Milwaukee or something, and we would just have fun, see her passion. She was a big EV collector, so obviously, and this is before evolving skies and stuff, but she was big into like all the evolutions, and so we just go to these events and have a blast, and she has always had such a good time. So it was just kind of a bonding time with her. So from there, my buddy, like I said, is the one who kind of got me back into the hook of the actual profit from it. And from there, I would grade cards. I would see what they actually were. I looked them up and stuff, and I was like, "Holy cow! There's a lot of money that I see that these people are making off of this." And so I did a show here and there, nothing crazy, but I would do like just I vended at one or two small little jobs or small little shows that would have like 50 tables or something. Well, kind of like lighthouse size.
mhm,
And I'd make a little bit of money, nothing crazy, nothing to where I'm like, yeah, I can quit my tile gig, where I'm making really good money. But it got to the point where I eventually just kept selling on eBay, kept selling, at the shows, and it just got to the point where I was making rolling money to where it was like I could actually possibly do this. Um, and I put enough invested into it to start to where uh, I eventually said, you know what, screw it, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do it. It was one of those things where I don't think, I just do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times in my life where I've sat there and I've questioned opportunities and I've missed out on them. So yes, you can make mistakes. Yes, you can not make it to the end sometimes, but if you don't take that opportunity ever, you're gonna regret it in the end. Um, so I basically got into it full time. I would say beginning of December of last year. So I've only been fully into this about 5 6 months now. So it hasn't been very long, but I mean it's just grown so fast. We
Yeah.
started with just one table, and now we're at 3 plus tables. So
Mhm.
um, and we hook our charity up to it as well.
Mhm.
And so we like to give back as well. And then like
Yes.
you were saying with the brand, yeah, the brand is huge. Just like with my tile business, the brand was everything. You try to build your brand by basically getting, a fan base.
Yeah.
And then obviously word of mouth is huge. So when we give out the free stickers, for instance, obviously, I just saw your sticker on your case and I'm like, I get chills from seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when I go to a show and I see some little kid that comes up to you and shows you a sticker that, and that just made their day. So that kind of stuff is what makes me want to do it even more. So
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And like, I think that that's like on the business side of it, like, yeah, there is real money. That's one reason why I got into it. Like for me, this is like my first business that I'm going like fully into. And I love it. And it's fun, but it's also like there's good money opportunity for it. And then like what you said too about brand and all that type of stuff is like um yeah, like I think like every case I see that goes by my table, they have the sticker. Like they'll have that like that free promo stuff. And that's something that we're trying to do with like Grails and Glory stuff, which is you guys vended at, which I would like to hear feedback after that too. But that kind of stuff, building that audience and then just word of mouth spreads and then it just grows. And I think that's super important. And what else was I gonna say? Um, yeah, and it scales fast. Like I've done it pretty much. I started in November of last year is when I started vending. Like we're like really going into vending. And like from here to there, it's crazy how much it's grown. Um, and it's cool. Honestly, I love doing it. Um, I still am at one table, but that's just because um, I don't know, I just there's, like, certain stuff that I like to scale and I just constantly reinvest it. Yeah, that's super cool.
well,
But
it also depends on what you're selling too. Like to be fair, we do a lot of the little bulk stuff as well. So like we like to branch out and get all the, avenues where it's little kids that have $5 to spend maybe. So they have all that kind of stuff that they can go for. We put out cases upon cases of just literally, $5 to $10 cards because people that are trying to collect sets. So we cater more so to like the actual collector. Whereas, some people have, their niche would be like the bigger, slabs, like the Japanese promos, for instance, like the pikas or the ponchos, where,
yeah,
that's a lot of money put into one case, whereas we're just hitting a different audience. But
yeah,
if I had all my money invested in that, obviously I wouldn't have 3 tables of it. But
yeah, yeah.
so it's a little different.
Yeah, for me, I do, like, pretty much since I do also do TCG Player kind of to do in between shows,
Sure.
uh, I like everything 15 under that, like, you guys would put in a case, usually I'll put that on my TCG Player.
Yep.
So, it's, like, that mid to, like, high range, singles, and then, slabs is what I'm getting into too. Mostly because also Abe does a lot of singles, so since me and Abe kind of tag teammate show together,
Sure.
we, we cater to different stuff, and
That's good.
that's just what is cool. But yeah, so, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, speaking about your guys' charity, I know that you guys do that. Why don't you, elaborate into what you guys do for your charity? Because I think
Yeah.
that's super cool what you guys, like, include and give back.
Yeah, so we rescue cats. I've always been very big into animals. But we have 9 cats ourselves that we've rescued. And so basically I'm the crazy cat guy, I guess. But I've always, you know, taken in misfortune cats or something that somebody else wouldn't have taken. Um, I mean, we have cats that have missing tails or, different issues where they have like a limp or something, and they just don't get rescued. So unfortunately, they just get thrown in the streets basically. But I don't have the time, unfortunately, to run, some nonprofit or something like that. So there's a place called the Nutter Cat Rescue over in Murfreesboro-ish area, just out of town there. But they they do that from home, and essentially, what we wanted to do was kind of tie it into Pokemon some way. So basically, it's called Psyduck's Army, and eventually we're gonna get some T-shirts. But um, basically, we sell rubber ducks because obviously there's a story with rubber ducks and
Yeah,
Jeeps, and that's just kind of a popular thing nowadays. But we sell rubber ducks at shows, and basically every proceed that comes from those ducks, we give back to cat food, cat litter, and then that obviously helps her run her organization and take the money that she has and put it into other places, whether that be trying to find homes for these cats or whatever. So we try to give back as much as possible with that because that's very near and dear to our hearts. So,
yeah, that's super
um,
cool.
and then we also want to get into some point doing like a helping with like free spay and neuters and that kind of stuff too. So there's too many cats being bred and there's not enough places that you can actually have
Yeah,
animals. And that goes towards dogs and stuff too. We're not just towards cats, but
yeah,
that's the rescue that we picked.
that's super cool, and I think, that's really cool, and something I could see, like a cat cafe type of or card shop.
That's
I think that
that's
would be
my that's my ultimate goal in life. There's a cool one in Murfreesboro. The only problem is that it doesn't have actual coffee. It's like one of those machines.
mm,
I want like a coffee shop, like an
yeah.
actual and then basically there's like laws against it where they can't be connected. So
Oh,
you could
really?
put a door between them or something and have but yes, cat cafes, that is like the ultimate dream for me. So
Yeah. That and, like, cat cards and coffee or something like that. Make
meows.
it a little yeah, make it a little alliteration, that's actually really cool. That's super cool. So, um, you guys do a lot of shows, obviously. I know you told me we were texting about the next Grail show, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I have you guys are busy," obviously. Um, how do you guys how did you get into that? Like, doing so many shows? Um, because obviously, I'm trying to, do more shows and all that type of stuff. But,
Sure.
what's your strategy to getting into that? And then also, what has been your favorite shows or events that you've been to since you started vending?
Yeah, so obviously the closer the better. The biggest thing is well for us is we're not huge yet. At some point we hope to get to like CollectCon status.
Yeah.
Right now we're kind of we're big, but we're not to that level to where, expenses we have to kind of watch. So basically anything that's within like 3 to 5 hours is pretty
Mhm,
ideal. But for instance, this weekend I'm going to Raleigh, North Carolina for a show. So it's one of those things where, just try to keep the expenses down because obviously you gotta make your profits. You can sell so much at a show, but where are you actually profiting from that? And that's the
mm,
biggest thing. People talk about, yeah, I made 20 some $1,000s this weekend. Well, what was your profit? It doesn't matter if you sold $20,000.
mhm,
How much of that are you actually taking home?
yeah,
So we try to do shows within, a relative area to where our costs are lower. But we try to stick to the shows that are like 100, 300 table ish. So medium sized shows. We do really well at those because those are kind of the shows where collectors go to, and that kind of fits to what we sell.
Mhm.
Um, but some of the venues we do a lot with, there's a company called Cards and More Tour that's coming to the area. But I just did a show in Houston, and they were an incredible venue that I've done. And they're actually coming to Huntsville soon, and there's also one that's going to be in Bowling Green. So there, and there's actually one in Franklin at some point here coming. So cardsandmoretour.com is a great. The owner is amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, Another one, we do the flip shows, a lot of flip shows. So Birmingham is only 3 hours for us.
Mm.
Those are always great. Huntsville has a very good show. Chattanooga was a very good one. So they're very close,
Yeah.
and they're not very expensive. They're shows I can literally go home at nighttime and not have
Mhm.
to spend the bills in other places. Um, he has some that are a little further south that we kind of stay away from because they're not like massive shows, but he has Biloxi and Dothan, which is like southern Alabama. And so some of those shows we stay away from, but for the most part, we do at least one or maybe two of his shows a month. And then the best ones for us have been Charlie's Collectible Show. Charlie's Collectible Show out of Atlanta is honestly the
Yeah.
best venue I've ever done. And I've built a really great relationship with him. And he's the type of creator where he literally knows your name as you walk in. And I'm just like, that's impressive that like I only go there once a month and he
Yeah.
remembers me by name. So it feels good to know that like he cares. Um, because when you have those kind of relationships with them, then obviously it all works great.
Mhm.
And then that's even just a cool place for people to go see. I mean, it's basically a
Yeah.
big nerd fest. And I know I've heard you in the other podcasts talk about wanting to kind of do that flea market type thing, someday in Nashville. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It's like a mini Frankenstein's is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and that's pretty close in Atlanta. So anyone watching this, go check him out. You'll never have a bad time at that place. So,
Cool.
but yeah, those are the most. And then we do Vegas sorry, every 3 or 4 months now. And that's just kind of me and Marsha to get out and enjoy it. And obviously, we want to make money, so we're there to try to ease some of the bills that we have in Vegas. But we just did that in February. That was our first show, and that was a blast. And but obviously, it's expensive, so at least the show kind of paid for a little bit of that trip.
Mm. Cool. That's awesome. And, yeah, there's a whole bunch of cool shows, and that's all you said Harley's Collectibles Card Show?
Yeah, so it's Charlie's like his name, like the name Charlie
Mm.
with an S, and then collectibles show.
Yeah. That's super cool. And that he knows you guys by name. That's something that I have an issue with, even with just like buyers. Like you could buy like like come to my table like 5 times, and I'll always forget your name just because I'm seeing so many people all the time. I don't know if that's something you guys struggle with. Um,
Well, so I'm getting better at it, but Marsha gets on me for it.
yeah,
And I don't mean it by offense. It's just I see so many people. So the fact that he remembers me by name is pretty impressive.
yeah,
But yeah, he's just a different breed. I mean, literally, you talk to any of the actual like permanent vendors that are at his place. Um, I've never heard one bad thing about him. So
yeah. That's awesome. And that obviously all the shows, and that's really cool. And yeah, that's something what Abe originally said was kind of like a mini Frankenstein's.
yep,
Uh, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with Grails and Glory. Um, obviously, we'll get it out of my school gym. That's just where we're starting it right now. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what the plan is for that, I think. And then having that connected to some type of shop in a couple years is what the plan is. But yeah, so that's kind of what did you think about the show? I'll ask that. So
yeah. Um, so basically, starting out, it was hard to find at first, just because I thought I've never
yeah,
been to the place. So when we got to the back, it all clicked together, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty sweet." And I thought you guys did a very good job on your first show. I think tables set up, how there's spacing between the tables. Um, Obviously there's people, but it wasn't like lighthouse size, for instance. But I kept telling everyone, I'm like, you got to realize this is their first show. Like, you got to give them time. Everybody starts. It's just like when I said I started off one table. It's like I was like the way he set it up. He's 16 years old. Abe, I don't know how old he is. He's what, mid 20s probably.
Sure.
Um,
I don't know. I'm not gonna say that. I don't know.
I'm just gonna say mid 20s. I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he's mid 20s. These guys are putting on, this event. I'm like, there's so much more that goes into this as well. So like, the fact that you guys ran that proficient of a show, I thought was incredible. So I
Yeah,
mean,
no, thanks.
and things you don't things. I'm sure you critique yourself on plenty of things from it. Um, you can only grow on them. So
Yeah. That's super true. And, like, thank you for that, I appreciate it. It's funny because for me, I'm more, like, impulsive, like, type of person, like, I have an idea and I just, like, I'll go for it. And then Abe's a little bit more cautious with, like, shows and like, that type of stuff, so it was really good to have us, like, both bounce off each other with the show ideas.
yeah,
But it was fun. It was really fun. And having people from the community come out and, like, um, like, just all sorts of people, like, because like, I'll talk about it, like, I don't talk about it a lot, but I'll talk about it at school or stuff, about the business, like, Pokemon stuff. And people are like, "Oh, wow," and then, like, some of them actually coming out and they'll be like, "Oh, wow, so this is actually legit." I'm like, "Yeah, it's been like it was cool for that." And, I really enjoyed doing it, and I think, like, just every show, like, we're just planning to keep on doing it better, and just have a really fun fun time with it, and just really provide something that's very different from, um what has been here in Nashville normally. But
if I had one critique, I would say extend it by a couple hours.
yeah, that's what we're trying to.
Because for instance, the lighthouse, I always had a problem with like leaving at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, nerds don't even wake up till like 11 o'clock in the
Yeah,
afternoon. So even myself, like I just don't get out of bed till a certain time. So obviously being on a Sunday, I get that you wanted to start it, after like people can go to church and then get out and then go to the event. But um I would say just somehow extend it by a couple hours because there's a couple of people at the end that were like, "Oh, we just got here," and then I'm like, "I know, I'm sorry," but
I think don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that after the one in May, which is May 4th, if you guys are in Nashville, check it out, May 4th. It's gonna be great. Um, I believe we're gonna try I think the next couple shows, since it'll be summer and all that stuff, will be 10 to 4, I believe.
cool. That's perfect, I think.
So I think that is what the plan is. I
Yeah,
don't
I think
really,
that's per
I think that's the plan. Um,
to be determined, guys.
yeah, to be determined. I don't know because it's like, I'll say stuff, but then I don't want it to um, I don't know. I don't wanna have administration tell me like, "No, you were wrong." Sorry, my fault. Like that's already
Yeah,
happened times. But I think it's 10 to 4 after these. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do different stuff. Um, and just have a good time. But yeah, Star Wars theme, so make sure to bring some Star Wars stuff if you do that.
I will. I'll try to find something for Squirtle too.
Yeah, Darth Squirtle or something like that. Um, yeah, that's what we're planning to do. That's what's in the future for that.
Sure.
But that's super cool. So you said that you do stuff on eBay, or you have done stuff on eBay.
Correct.
Obviously you are an entrepreneur. In your child business, you're an entrepreneur, you've done Pokemon, you're doing Pokemon now, you do shows. Um, what has been you just do shows now, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I source a lot. Um, one day a week, I'll usually drive within like a day's radius and go buy collections. So I'll
Cool.
venture out more than what most people will.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that takes up a lot of time, and then all that bulk takes forever to
Yeah.
put through. But there's good money in it, so it goes into the slots, and then we have that for kids or collectors that need a random $2 card for a set or something. So, but so yeah, that's it's a full it's a full gig during the week as well. Before when I was doing the tile and then I was doing this as fun on the weekend, obviously I couldn't do any of that kind of stuff. I didn't have the time to go finding collections, but um yeah, and then every once in a while I'll try to sell stuff off just to, you know, if something's not selling very well, I'll try to mix it up and find better stuff out there or something or um but yeah, so basically it's a full-time gig. During the week there's a lot that goes on as well that, people don't realize. So,
Yeah. What's your process with that? Because I know there is obviously we're in the mega group chat, or the mega, well, however many thousand, or I think it's like 2,000, people. But what is your like tips for sourcing, or like what stuff have you used to one, get the percentages that you want? Because I don't know if you're experiencing this right now, but I experienced it last show, and Abe was telling me the Lighthouse prior that a lot of people are offloading right now into stuff. So what is your kind of, obviously you've been in it for a little bit. What have been kind of your strategies into excuse me, into like finding good deals, going out, meeting people, um, and just like being professional, but also getting the margins that you want.
yeah, so I pay a lot higher margins than most people do. Um Honestly, what I'm looking for is the collectors rather than like you or I, for instance. So I have a bunch of friends that try to sell me big lots, and I'm like, yeah, but you've probably picked through it and you know exactly what you want to sell and so on. So for me, it's finding somebody who's passionate about collecting and just needs the money for something that they might have bills for, or they just decided that eventually they just want to get out of it. At one
Mhm.
point, I got out of Pokemon as well, so it's one of those things where I try to find those kind of people because what I want to do is honestly, I pre-grade a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so like I said, I try to keep the smaller stuff because I try to sell to collectors, not graders. Um, I know a lot of people do it. They probably won't tell you that they do it, but they do it.
Mhm.
So I'll buy collections that look clean, and stuff that I can send off to grade. And then basically that kind of stuff, then I'll flip into more raw cards, for instance, to build
Mm.
the inventory for shows. So if you're a grader, probably don't want to come to my table. I'll just
Yeah.
I'll save you the time right there. But basically that's the biggest thing is I'll pay a higher percent because I know I'm going to profit off the PSA off of it too. So to me, I'm not going to sit there and wheel and deal on people and try to push them down to a price because once you start asking 70% for a lot, now you got how many other people that are asking for the same lot at 70%, for instance.
Yeah.
If I offer 80% on something, there's not as many people that are going to offer that. So to me, it's worth that. But again, I'm buying from certain crowds of people. So,
Mhm.
and then shows are obviously great because you're getting all those people that are, willing to trade something for 70% just so they can build something from their collection.
Yeah.
And then at a show, then they can spend that money and buy what they want to with it. So,
Mm.
so I don't, I offer the normal like 70 and then 80 trade at shows. So I'm basically the same as everyone else for that. So, and then I buy a lot of bulk too. So a lot of people just want to get rid of it and I'll actually buy any of it. So, it doesn't matter if it's expensive or cheap, I'll buy it.
Mhm.
So
Cool.
I just went to Cincinnati, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and bought a Tops collection. Let's
Oh,
bought
wow. No,
$30,000 worth of Tops cards.
dang.
And I'm just like, the guy offered it at a really good price, and I know that. people like that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
it's way different. It's unique. It's something that people will be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And a lot of people don't have it. So
Mhm. No, that's super cool. And, yeah, finding those niches and, like, something that, like, what I'm hearing a lot is, like, you kind of found your niche, right? Because obviously Pokemon's a big niche, there's people that
oh, so many different things to collect.
yeah,
So many different things.
people like Japanese, people like top, people like base set, people like, modern, people there's just so many different types of things.
Yeah.
And you kind of have found your niche in the hobby and have really, like, hit it hard, and have really, like, gone in on it, which has obviously given you guys a lot of, success, which is awesome. And, what is, like what kinda, like, catered you to be, like, more of, like, a family-friendly type booth instead of, like, someone that has, like, only high-end slabs or only does, Japanese or etcetera?
Yeah. So obviously my daughter's a big part of it.
Mhm.
Uh, and then when I go to these shows and I see, the kids, for instance, um, I sit there and I see some of these booths that have just only big stuff, and I'm like, these little kids can ooh and ah at this kind of stuff, but they'll never touch it until they get older. Or, it might be a really big present for them or something, or but they might only have a few bucks to spend, and it's just like I want to be able to please everybody if I can. I'm not to the point right now where I have, it's like I said, the ponchos or some of that big stuff, but I feel like I can cater to a wide audience. So,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest thing to me is the literally because I don't collect anymore. Everything goes back into the business.
Mhm.
And if I ever find like PSA 10 Squirtles, that maybe I'd take, but other than that, um, it's just cool to me to see other people collect and um, fulfill like what they're going for. Like when 151 was around, I was selling all the reverses. I'd have like 7,000 plus reverse hollows and helping people build sets and complete those. And I have videos on my Instagram of literally just somebody needing a stupid energy card. I don't even couldn't even tell you what it was, but I'm just like, that's all you needed to collect or to complete the set. And that just seeing their face just light up just from that $1 card. Like just as funny to me, but that's all it took. And just seeing somebody glow up over something that they collect and that they enjoy and they have a passion for is what I love to see. Some little kid can come up to you and have a binder, and you look at it and you're like, there's, no value in this binder at all. But to them, it doesn't matter. As long as it's their favorite Pokemon, they don't care.
Yeah.
Uh, so if I have a different couple Pikachu top cards, for instance, that they don't have in their collection, and they can make their day for a $3 card or something, like that's what I enjoy the most. So that's kind of what makes me the happiest is obviously I'm making money, but I also get to make people happy. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest part of it.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's, like, very, um, not I wouldn't say unique, but very, entwined and, like, Pokemon selling and Pokemon reselling like that is, like, at the end of the day, it is a collectible card game. At the end of the day, it is a trading card game. It is it's a hobby for a lot of people, and people are just trying to collect. And I think that, that's super cool, and, that, yeah, that's just great, and that you've, like, catered to that. Yeah, I don't know what else,
Even like for instance, so I know you're a big into the actual game play, but I'm not really. Like I know how to play cuz I'll play like the academy with my daughter or something, um but I cater like those kind of people too, and like just selling the cards,
Mhm.
your Arvins
Yeah,
and your games like that or cards like that. And I'm just like, I don't even play the game, but like I feel like I do play the game because like I know what people want,
you
and I try to find that kind of stuff for players too. So it's just like
yeah,
people come up to me like, "Why is this gold card so expensive?" I'm like, "Because it's very playable."
yeah.
um, and I said people like to make nice fancy decks, and that's why they're. And then all of a sudden they're interested in like why some cards are certain prices and certain ones are not, and
Mm,
they'll look through the dollar bin and they'll be like, "Why are so many Ionos in here or something?"
yeah,
And I'm like, "Because people want to play with them." So
yeah. No, yeah, it's true. The playable card game has a different aspect to it,
yeah,
for sure. And, yeah, it's crazy, how, gold cards, like that's something that my brother and myself, when we started playing, is something that we kinda wanted to not do was, like, bling out our deck.
yeah,
Uh, max rarity, like, we're like, we'll have min rarity decks where it's everything is the least amount, like, most basic it could be. And that's kinda what we prided ourselves in doing. But it's cool, it's really fun, and especially, like, keeping up with it is cool, like, knowing the stats of the players, it really is kinda like a sport, and it's just super cool to excuse me, see all that type of stuff, but, yeah, that's really cool that you figure that out, and I like because there's not a lot of people that do that, there's not a lot of people that have like, playable sellables, um, and is the fact, but yeah, that's super cool, but,
the problem is they don't last very long. So
no, yeah,
when I do have them, somebody finds them and scuffs them up, and then they're gone. So,
that's
but
good, that's good for us. You're
yeah,
making you're making your money back fast, which is really cool. I, I'll ask you this, so obviously I know your brand is Squirtle Squad Collectibles, so Squirtle is your favorite Pokemon, I assume?
Squirtle's my man. Yeah, I love
Nice.
Squirtle.
Do you have a, like, a particular, like, favorite Squirtle? Or is there, like what's kinda like was that for you? Like, yeah, I'll ask that. What was your, like, first like, do you have, like, a favorite type of
Yeah, so the McDonald's promo is probably my favorite of all time. Um, However, I mean, I still go back to the first edition base set. I mean, like, even though like you know, it just has a first edition stamp on it, which makes it that, but it's just the original, and that's just what I love. And then they have those promo boxes too. I don't have that one, but it like the pre boxes. I can't even think what they're called. Deck A and Deck B or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, there's a Squirtle in that too. So, but I guess that would be like the first one.
Yeah. You're talking about the old one,
What's up?
where you're talking about the old McDonald's promo, right?
It's Japanese card.
Yeah. The one with the heart eyes?
Yep.
Yeah, this guy. Well, bam.
I also like the Ditto
Yeah, that's cool.
Squirtle.
What? Oh, here it
He's
is.
got his hands on his cheeks, and
Yeah. Right
it's
here.
so weird, but it's awesome.
This one. Or it's like I think this one might have gotten retouched, but oh, hold up. You can't see it.
Nice thing
There you
about
go.
Squirrel, he's not too expensive. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. I think this might have been retouched on here, but yeah, this one's really cool. Who has this? I think is it I think I don't know. Someone has that in a 10.
Yeah.
They're really cool. I
I
I
don't have
like
any of my stuff here where I'm at, but I have a Nintendo as well. I don't collect many Japanese cards either, so that's one
yeah.
that I do have.
For me, selling is like I'll have like I show you the promos, right?
So which ones?
The I got so this will probably be later in a video later down the road. Uh, I uh I picked these guys up.
Oh, no kidding.
I'll have those guys delivered to me. Um, and I um I'll have those delivered to me soon, or I'll pick them up from someone. but that's, like, kind of with me with Japanese, because it was, like, last nationals, the one in February, and I picked up some Japanese slabs, and they just did not do well, and my, like I don't know, my brother and I kinda, like, came to the assumption that they were like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do, like, Japanese unless it's probably, like, exclusive." Like, we don't really know that market too well to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm the same way. I
yeah,
just but again, we don't get some of the cool stuff that,
yeah,
they do over there, and
yeah,
those and, like, that little Squirtle's part of it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. For me and that's why for me, like, those guys, like, I'll do it if it's Japanese exclusive. Like, if it's Japanese exclusive, sure, but if it's, like, not like, if it's just, like, a basic thing that's Japanese, then probably not gonna I'll pass on it. But if it's, like, exclusive, I'll I'll think about it. Excuse me.
What I see an issue with is people come by and ask for a specific card from a set, and I'm like, I might have like 5 to 10 Japanese cards because I bought them off of a collection, and
Yeah,
obviously they were part of it. And I'm like, no, but I have these these random 1 or 2 cards that, and then obviously it's nothing close to what they want. But
yeah,
people want specific stuff, and that's the problem. Is I'd have to have my whole table with
yeah,
just Japanese in those sets, and that's the problem. So
yeah.
you're spreading
That
yourself a little too thin at that point.
yeah. You gotta be concentrated. You gotta know your niche. Um, that's yeah, and that's, like, kinda my thing with Japanese. Um, if it's not exclusive, I usually don't do it. That's alright, so another thing that I like to add in every podcast, or I add it in some form or iteration, but, I call it, like, "What was your first Charizard?" You know? Or what was your first, like what's a card that, like, meant a lot to you, or, like, for you signified that, "Oh, wow, like, I'm doing this, like, this is something that I want to do," or, like, "This is something that is profitable," or something that I can see myself doing in the future.
Yeah, so wasn't Charizard for me, it was Blastoise.
Mm,
But I remember as a kid, when I pulled my first Blastoise,
nice.
and that was like the coolest thing ever to me. Um, Everybody loved Charizard. My brother loved Charizard. He was a big Charmeleon, Charizard fan. But yeah, it was Blastoise for me. So I remember like literally pulling Blastoise, and unfortunately, I don't know where it ever ended up, but I remember back in those days, you'd put your cards in your pocket and you'd go to school and they'd get all torn up and stuff. And I didn't care. I just played with them and had fun. And I could not tell you where that card is. It's probably in a dump somewhere. It's disintegrated. But um, that was my favorite like moment though, is remembering when I pulled that card. So I pulled plenty of Charizards and I probably traded them away for something else. But um, and then basically my moment of getting back in was when um probably when Hidden Fates and I was pulling some of those shinies. I was getting like because I mean I was buying them pretty cheap back then. Obviously, when Hidden Fates took its big pump, basically, it became harder to get. But I remember when I was buying the boxes for $20, and a pack of cards were $5, which can't find that anymore with Hidden Fates. But when I pull the evolutions and the Mewtwo and the Charizard, even though I'm not the biggest Charizard fan, he still pays my bills. So,
Yeah,
but all those cards are just so cool. The Greninja, I mean, just all those were just the. I'm like, yeah, I can create these and make a lot of money off these cards.
yeah,
Uh, Even the little baby shinies were cool, like the little Eevee and the Charmander, Charmeleon, and some of those other ones that were just, the Lucarios and Lycanrocs, and I just thought all those cards were so cool that that's kind of like what got me to like, I guess, get more passionate about wanting to, and that's when the eBay started. So it wasn't like a full on business, but that's kind of where what took that off. So
yeah. That's cool. That's aw the Blastoise, yeah. It's kinda like, those the childhood cards that, people you don't know where they are, but you know they're somewhere. And yeah, that's that that's you have you been able to have the base set Blastoise since then though? I would assume, I hope.
Yeah, I could. I get them and I see them, and I'll get a card and I'll be like, yeah, I want it for my collection. And I'm like, a day later, I'll be like, nah, let's just sell it. I'll like
Yeah,
put it back in the business. My girlfriend's got her cute binder, and her cute binder is worth like a couple grand now. And I'm like, you sure you don't want to just get rid of that and put it back into the business?
yeah,
She's like my daughter, where she likes to keep her things and look at it and enjoy them. And like I said, I just like enjoy watching other people collect them. So
yeah,
if I can find, for instance, I was in Vegas and I took a picture with a kid that was the biggest Blastoise fan. He had a Blastoise shirt on, a Blastoise hat on. I mean, he was just like loving it up, and I'm like, that is totally me as a kid. So
yeah.
that's what I enjoy. So,
Cool. That's yeah. That I'm the same way in the way where like everything in the case is PC until it sells.
yeah,
Pretty much, or like, I'm there's stuff that I like, but it's not, for me right now, it's not, like, attainable, or it's not like I'm not in a place where I would want to, like, collect that stuff right now,
yeah.
because I'm still just like flip and still trying to grow the inventory of the business. But that's kind of what I am how I am with it. And I think that um, that's fine, that's how it is with some people. I know Jackson's like that. Um, I
Yeah,
remember
Jackson's
he
the same
told
way.
yeah, he told me that it was like was it? He texted me one night, well, I texted him, and he sent me what was it? I think it was Primal Clash, booster box that he had. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, this is I think I might start a little booster box collection and finally PC it." And then literally the next lighthouse, he sold it. And I was like, "Yeah, that's totally like"
Yep,
you know? And I don't know how it is, if you feel this too, but for example, like, I picked up this guy, at Girls and Glory show, right?
sure.
And for me, it was, it was like it was a pretty big, pickup or trade. But in my head before owning the card, I had always, like, envisioned it in my head, like, "Oh, wow, like, this is one of those stepping stone cards, like, this is kinda like a milestone card or whatever." And
Yep.
then I have it finally, and it's like, it's okay." You know? Like, you kind of become, like I don't wanna say desensitized, but, like, it kind of
Well,
does
you see so much stuff that comes by your table too, and
yeah,
was it Anthony? I think said one of your podcasts where it'll always come back to you if you want it.
yeah, exactly, and that's kinda, like, my main thing for that. Like, I remember, like, the first time, like, I held a poncho in my hand, I was like, "Oh my good," like, I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah,
Um, and then now, like, I'm like, "Yeah," you know, those are cool.
not for the price that it's worth,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no,
they definitely make somebody else enjoy it more.
yeah, and it's, like, crazy or, like, that Japanese promo that I just showed, like, the cram. It's like, I, it's like, wow, like, that's a card that I would always see in a vendor POV. I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is such a cool card, I would love to have it," and now I have it, and I'm like, "Huh." That's kinda it's not it's okay. It's not, um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
so my biggest takeaway in the hobby is to always piece what you do from what other vendors do. In that aspect is a great example is what Jackson does is exactly how I do it too. Um, you see some of the people that are successful around you, and you got to build yourself to that motto. Obviously, put your own flair to everything, but um, well, how he does that, the way with Anthony of how he loves to just collect things by getting them, and then just
yeah,
holding on to them and then getting rid of them. That's a great way to feed your your need, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's great. So a lot of these guys that you watch or you see around you, um, you always try to build who you are around what you've learned. So
Yeah, no, it's and that's yeah, and you collect by getting it, and it's like for me too, it's not, so much having the card, but it's the deal. Like, for me, like, I get super excited or I'll get a buzz off, like, "Oh my goodness, like, I'm trading this, and I'm doing this," and then, like or, like, it literally happened, what was it? Like, last Grail and Glory, I got, the money that we each got a cut, and then I immediately went and I got this guy.
sure.
And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, all these deals happening so fast," the speed of, things of how things happen and, like, all that type of stuff is what drives me to do it, and just, like, knowing that I'm getting to the place where I would like to go, and kind of, like, growing in that way,
Yeah.
and that is just for me, that's something cool. I don't know if you experience that too or what.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where I get so much that comes by my table. Like it's just sometimes it's overwhelming. Especially at those Charlie's collectible shows. I mean they're literally body on body.
Mhm.
And you'll get so much good stuff that comes by your table and you're like it's just cool to have it for 5 minutes. Um and I don't need to own it, but it's just cool to like have it come by you to like be able to touch it and be like this is what a $2,000 card is.
Yeah.
And there's a reason it's $2,000 because a it's rare, but b people love the Pokemon, you know, or whatever it may be. But um, I just get enjoyment out of that, so I don't need to physically have it personally.
Yeah.
I'm the same guy as like I don't need a million pictures because I have it all right here in my brain.
Yeah.
I just the moments themselves. So I'm also doing Card Party coming up in Tampa in
Oh,
June.
I should be there.
Really?
Yeah. I believe Jerry's gonna be my hookup for that. I
So,
am
so I have two tables at that one, and for me, the experience of like seeing my daughter just go nuts, being able to see some of these content creators,
yeah.
um, the positive ones, I should say. But some of these people that are there, I'm just like, I don't know if they're really geared towards the children, but um, she has some of her favorites that she sees and she watches videos of me and stuff, and so I just cannot wait to like see that experience, for instance, too. So I just love the memories it's building. She's so passionate about the hobby, so it just makes me feel good. So
It it's I I agree with that. Yeah, I should be doing Card Party. Praying, that everything works out for me to go. It's in Orlando.
Tampa.
Okay. But I should be going, and I'm really excited to do it. It's funny that you say that, like, like, the kid-friendly I'm more friends like Arvin and, like, like them. Um, and it's kinda I'm looking forward to it, like, I talk to these people on almost daily basis, Instagram or DM or, like, messages or whatever, or Facebook. I
Yeah.
like to meet them in person and, like, sit down, have a conversation, or, like, take an actual, like, picture or,
Oh, for sure.
and, like, actually, like, meet people is, like, really, really cool. And it's I'm looking forward to it, and it's something that, like, I set out for this year, to do, and I'm excited to do it. And that I have the opportunity to do it. And, I may not have like, I wanna do a eclectic I'm trying to do the next event. I may not have, like, the biggest investment, but I want to go like, I just to do it, like, the
Oh, I
if
did. I did Atlanta last fall. I don't think I had enough inventory for it, honestly, but just the experience was fun.
yeah.
Uh, like I walked out of there, I'm like, I don't think I made as much as I should have because I feel like I sold everything I had. But but still, like it's just a great experience. It was fun. Obviously now that's also you learn from what you do. So um, I've messed up so many different times. I bought collections that I'm like, yeah, that was stupid. Why'd I do that? But you just learn not to do that again.
Yeah.
And um, like with the shows, I got a couple of friends. I would also say that too is make friends with all the other vendors, because a lot of these people think it's just cutthroat. You're always trying to one up everybody else, but just worry about yourself. Always try to build relationships because if you feed them, they'll feed you, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And you just learn, and then you build your business off of that experience. So, but CollectCon was very overwhelming for me because I definitely didn't. I went into it with like what I should add more. Is what I should add.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. But that's, no, yeah, and your network is your net worth. And, like, knowing your connections is everything. I think that's super true, and it's super crazy, how it's so true. And it just happens, like, I d like I said, I wanted to do card party. I originally wanted to vend, but then I was, "Well, I don't know if I could do this. I might just go as, like, just to go." But then I talked to Jerry, and Jerry's like, "Yeah, I probably could get a couple of tickets for you." I was like, "What? Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." So it's just like how knowing all these, and that's someone that I wouldn't have even expected. I didn't really know him until I sat down with him. And that's something like why I love doing these podcasts and like all that type of stuff because, like me and you, we've met, we've had a conversation, but now we've really sat down, we've just talked and it's more of like a personal basis.
Yeah,
Um, like and getting to like know each other's moms and stuff like that. That happened with Charles because like I've done deals with Charles before we had talked, but once we really sat down and had a conversation, like that's now, I'll talk to him and like now we're friends.
yeah,
And like that type of stuff. So for me, like I enjoy that aspect of it. And that that's one reason why I do this too is one to practice skills and then two to make content and three just to meet people. And
yeah.
just have conversation and I've done lots of crazy stuff with through
And
this.
then, like for me, like traveling so much, I'm on the weekends I'm gone a lot,
Mhm.
and so I'll go to these shows and I'll just make friends and go out to dinner with them or whatever afterwards because you know I can talk on the phone with my girlfriend all day long, but you do get bored when you're in a hotel all weekend and you want to go out and just meet new people and experience things and obviously they share the same passion as you, so yeah, just get out and make friends. And luckily for Tampa with me is I used to live like an hour north of there, so
Mhm.
my mom and stepdad live right there on the river, so
Oh,
it's kind
nice.
of nice because I got family that I'm also visiting during that whole time. So
Cool. I think I have t relative, I believe. But I, yeah, I have a lot of family in Miami. Um, but yeah, that's that's super that's cool, and, like, I haven't done anything outside of, like, Nashville yet. I really wanna do Chattanooga. I don't know when the next Chattanooga show is. Um,
um yeah, I can talk to you when I get off of this. I can look for it, but I'm on my phone, so I don't want to pull it out. But it's not too far down the road here. I think I want to say it's the end of May.
oh, really? Is it what's May 24th? There's something oh, Hendersonville. Is it the same weekend as Hendersonville?
I I'm so bad.
No, you're fine.
I literally go like week to week with my schedule.
Oh,
I
no,
know I
there's
know I
5
have
Saturdays
shows. Sorry.
there's 5 Saturdays in May, so it should be it's end of the month then, yeah.
Lovely.
Uh, cool.
I know I
Uh,
have specific shows, but I don't remember where they land on the schedule ever. So
that's true. You're busy, and that's completely fine. But, yeah, I, we're almost at an hour, so I will, and I know it's late, but we'll do some closing stuff. My last, or my other question would be is, obviously, you're someone that's done business stuff before. You've done Pokemon now, you've seen a lot of success, um, starting out. Like, what would be your piece of advice for those that want to start, doing Pokemon?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, like your venue. But if you're doing exactly how I do it, and you just do shows, the biggest thing is drive. You need to be passionate. You know, a lot of these people that do vending on the weekends, even if they have a bad show, they just get very mopey. Um, so you need to just see, instead of getting mopey, see why you're doing bad.
Mhm,
Um, because if somebody else is doing, I mean, it could be a bad show. I mean, and there's no excuse for that. But if other people around you are doing successful and they're doing great, why are they doing so well?
mhm,
And just don't get down on yourself, but just build off of what you can learn. I've been to plenty of shows to where I'm like, man, I had no sales, and guy across from me is just killing it, and
mhm,
I just learned from what they did, and I just like I said, try to build off of what others do, and just make yourself better. So a lot of people get discouraged, and then they just get out of the hobby or something, or they just become collectors again. They don't want to sell it. So just don't get discouraged. Always build on what um, what your strengths are, and just grow from there.
mhm,
But basically, when I do shows, um, it's literally a learning experience every weekend. So every show that I go to now, I'm still learning things. In these podcasts, I learn, things just from Anthony from the last one, or just other people you talk to, like the guy from Vancouver. I've learned things from him. Obviously, he's leaps and bounds above where I am,
mhm.
but the only way to get better is to learn from people like that. So you're not going to learn from the guys that are doing nothing and at the bottom. So always try to strive to be somebody higher, but also don't get discouraged if you don't get there as fast as somebody else too. So, but just great people around you and build those relationships and stick with it. But the
Yeah,
drive is big as well.
yeah,
Um, you got to put the time in. If people just want success just to have success, you can't. You gotta get there somehow, and you gotta have the passion for it.
yeah, that's super true, and, like, sorry, knowing, like, your core and, like, going like, knowing what you stand for and, like, your drive and why you do what you do, finding your why, right, is something that a lot is very popular talk about, but, like, finding your why, and I think that's true in every aspect of business and all that stuff too, and, um, like, for me especially, like, I take this, it's fun, but at the end of the day, I take it seriously because my drive, I truly love doing this, and this is what I wanna do? Um, and that's something that I use for, my drive or my why, and it's very important all the time. Um, I think that's 100% true, and always learning, like, when I'm editing a podcast, I'm learning, when I'm making a reel for the day, I'm learning, when I'm, doing, other stuff, I'm learning, deals, market, it's all just the if should I always try to strive to be better than I was yesterday, it's
Right.
something I think everyone should work on and do, because it's not, it's if you plateau in life, then what's the point of life? There has to be something you do. Um, and that is,
Also,
um,
bring the energy because people feed off
yeah,
of it.
yes,
If they see you in a pissy, mopey mood,
yeah,
leave it at the door because whatever's affecting you, leave it at the door.
yeah, yeah.
So
And that's something that, I enjoy doing a lot and something I try to do a lot. And, something that we also are doing at Grails, we're trying to do. is bring the energy because, like Lighthouse, it's nice, it's the energy is there with the deals and all that stuff is doing. It's
But to that same point, a lot of those sports vendors are so cranky,
yeah,
and it's like, well, if you keep this attitude, I mean, you're not gonna sell stuff. Like
yeah,
people feed off that, and I can only tell you when you go into a sale and you're having the same attitude, it affects you, and I know it affects. It rubs off on your customers. So
yeah. And that's what, like, last time, our grails is something we try to do is, bring energy, do giveaways, do, all that type of stuff. Have a good time, a good vibe, and, have music playing, um, something just to provide an atmosphere.
yeah,
And that changes it for, I think, a lot of people. Um, and yeah,
definitely.
I think that's it's super fun. But last one more question or a couple more questions. Obviously you've spoken a lot about TCG and stuff. You said you had a lot. But what has been probably your favorite memory from the TCG from, you know, being a kid, getting back into it? You said you do a lot of stuff with your daughter, seeing her doing that. What has been like what's some of your all-time favorite stuff from the TCG?
Yeah. So as a vendor, my favorite thing was so when we went to Vegas. That kid that came up that said he wanted to meet me. Um, that like to me just honestly, I was probably more taken back than he was to like take a picture of me. I was probably more enjoyed being able to take a picture with him just because I thought like, you know, yeah, that kid, yeah. To me, it's just like I'm nobody special, you know. I just so if I can bring enjoyment to that kid in that way, that just means the world to me. And then when I see these little kids that bring up like um, little Squirrel Squad stickers and smile and stuff. I just like that just means the world to me. So it just makes me want to do it even more. So it's just cool to show that you actually make a difference to somebody else, even if it's something small like that. So obviously, all the times with my daughter outside of vending is a blast for me.
Mhm.
Um, Problem with my daughter is you take her to these events to help you, and she just gets so scatterbrained and she wants to go just explore. So she's not really a help, honestly, but she has so much fun just running around the shows, and I just love to see her having a good time, and obviously that's very important to me as a father. So, but
Cool. That's no, that's awesome, and that's yeah, and that's great that like you're doing that, in and that's something she can enjoy and do, something that she can kind of participate in. That's yeah, I get that too. That's kind of how I am, honestly. Um, and my brother gets mad at me sometimes, but like I always like going around seeing what other people have, doing deals, making vendors, and still getting to know people.
yeah,
Even though I haven't been doing it that much. But, cool. I would, ask, do you have any closing thoughts or anything else you'd like to touch on before we close?
not really. Just it's this hobby is something that's like important to me.
Yeah,
Um, Between losing my house in Wisconsin and then moving to Florida, then moving to Tennessee, um, obviously Tile kept me, going, but Pokemon was kind of there, and I had like very, I guess, depressive states. So between that and all the people I've met and stuff and became friends with, obviously it's very important for that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy the hobby, it's not just about making money. So um, that's a big part of it. Obviously, it pays the bills, keeps the roof over my head.
yeah,
But it just has helped a lot with like life itself. So
yeah. I think that's great, and that's something so important is the community and all of it, it's a card game, it's a business, it's a hobby. At the end of the day, it's a community, and I think that means a lot, and that's one of the great aspects about I've met some of my closest friends do this. and I'm making new friends every day,
Oh,
and that's the whole thing. But cool.
and one thing too is it's cool. Like when I talk to people on Facebook, I've sold through Facebook a lot too, and you talk to these people on Facebook, and then just like meeting them like for the first time, like you were saying, I card party for you. Um, it is cool. It's just like because you're like you talk to these people over a phone, and you're like they seem cool, you know. Like I don't know if they're really cool or not, but you actually meet them, and you're like, yeah, these people are very genuine, very down to earth. Like you have these conversations with, and just you just make really cool friends, and obviously you share the same passion as them. So it's just cool to be able to connect with people in a specific way, and nobody
Yeah,
else in my life knows, you know, what the hell are you doing selling Pokemon cards for a living, and uh, but other people get it. So
yeah, yeah. I get it, and it's cool, and it's worth it, and I think it's great, and that you're doing great. I mean, I love seeing your booth. I love seeing your stickers everywhere. I love seeing all that stuff. I think I see Squirtle Squad, I see House of Collectibles, and I see pretty cool cards. Those are like the 3 that I see on everyone's case, and I think that's super cool. And one day, I need to make a couple orders, but hopefully PokéSells stickers will be on there for people to put on their case too.
pretty
And
pretty soon we'll have shirts too. So I'm excited to see shirts. People ask about them all the time, and we just want honestly we don't even want to sell them, make a profit off of them. We just want to make them as cheap as possible. Put a big QR code on the back and have them as a walking billboard,
yeah,
and just donate a few bucks to the cat fund, and that's about it.
yeah, that's awesome, and I think that's great. But, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm not very tech savvy at all. That's more my girlfriend's thing. But we're on Instagram, Squirrel Squad Collectables, TN for Tennessee. Um, and then basically any show near you. Hopefully we'll be at them all.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Brennan, for coming on. Make sure you guys to check them out if you are in any of the shows, Lighthouses, Flip, uh, shoot, I forget it. It's not John's.
Charlie's. Charlie's
Charlie's,
Collectible Show.
Charlie's Collectible Show. Whatever you guys are doing, or wherever you guys are going, Chattanooga,
If you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, come check us out this weekend.
yes, check him out. Make sure to do that. But thank you, for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been great. Really enjoyed this conversation. Sorry if I'm tired. It's
No,
been a
you're
very
good. And like I said, I mean, you might be 16 years old, but I learned things even from you. So
thank you. I
um,
appreciate that.
your drive at 16 years old is just crazy. So when I found out your brother was younger than you, I thought you kept talking about your brother, and I saw him at the event, and I was like, oh, I just thought he was older for some reason,
Yeah,
and I'm just like, God, that kid's got drive as well. So
yeah. Well,
it's like your
I'm more
father,
yeah,
your father and mom, and you just got a very good family there. So
I appreciate that. And for my brother, I mostly it's because I drag him along. And now he's starting to understand, and now he's, like, really into it.
that's
And he got mad. Funny story before we close. Um, he got mad because the Grails and Gloria, I told him, I was like, "Hey, this will be your first show," because I have to do other stuff, running around, making sure vendors are okay, making sure food's okay, making sure breakfast, et cetera, et cetera, making sure bathrooms are good. And he was like, "Okay, great. That sounds awesome." I told him the numbers, and he was like, "Cool, I'll do that." And then at the beginning of the show, there was a deal. I accidentally, like, interrupted the deal, and he got mad at me. I was like, "Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I did tell you this was your show. You take the rest of the show." And he did most of it.
so. Did he get the Charizard? Or did you get the Charizard?
Uh, but he that was a funny story that happened. But, yeah, it's fun. I enjoy doing it, and it'll keep on going well. But, yeah. Anyway, um,
Well,
thank
thanks for
you.
having me. Appreciate it.
I, thank you guys. Thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whenever you guys are watching this. Make sure to check out Brennan and the Squirrel Squad collectibles and all the shows, and make sure to check out Grails and Glory in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll both be there. It'll be great. And also, by the way, I absolutely loved seeing your guys' table like smack dab in the middle when
Yeah,
people walked in. I just felt like it made it like very welcoming. So I will try to talk with Abe, and I don't know how the table setup is, but we should have more vendors next show. Um, but if we can do that again, I thought that was a very welcoming sign for a
yeah.
lot of people. But yeah, but thank you for coming on again, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Yeah, that's been this podcast. Peace.